On September 15th, Prince Harry turns 40. It's a milestone birthday that marks a turning point and a moment of reflection for anybody. But as the Duke of Sussex ushers in his 5th decade, is he clear on what he will do next?
Happy birthday, it's your birthday.
His future looks very different from what we might have expected at his last milestone birthday, when the popular 30-year-old prince was 4th in line to the throne and looked set for a life of royal duty ahead. But 4 years after cutting loose from the monarchy, sources close to Harry have told us ahead of his 40th that he has no interest in returning to royal duties in the UK and is focused solely on his future in the States. The rebuttal came after reports circulated that he wanted to spend more quality time in his former home, and perhaps even take on a backseat role in the firm he and Meghan had been so keen to leave behind in 2020. But now, with his tell-all memoir, bombshell media interviews, and a Netflix documentary series about the family out of the way, can he finally devote himself fully to the causes we know are so important to him, and the legacy that he intends to curate? At 40 years old, he seems to stand somewhat at a crossroads. While his fight against the British tabloids and security measures in the UK keep him battling issues from the past, we know he's determined to look forward and dedicate his time to the Invictus Games and the other meaningful initiatives he has under his belt. In that way, the last few months may have served as a preview of how he intends to start this new decade. Having established that he wants to stay in America and continue to put down roots for his young family there, what do the next 10 years feasibly look like? Fresh off the back of a quasi-royal tour of Colombia, the 3rd foreign tour the Duke and Duchess have undertaken this year, former advisors of his have spoken to the press about the hope they have for Harry to finally get on with the things that bring him fulfillment and joy. After covering his and Meghan's February tour to Vancouver, it's abundantly clear that the Invictus Games tops this list from a work perspective. Watching Harry engage with veterans is watching him with his people. The ease with which he operates in that sphere is a nod to his time in the army, a time in his life where he seemed to have established the strongest sense of identity, separate to being a royal. And as we near the next Games in 2025, the Duke plans to dedicate even more of his focus to the cause of which he is most proud and passionate about. This summer proved that point when he accepted the prestigious Pat Tillman Award for Service amid a furore surrounding his nomination. But he stood his ground despite the controversy around it, because of the fact that such honours helped to raise the profile of the Games and its noble cause. Remarking on the achievement at the ESPY Awards ceremony, he dedicated it to the thousands of veterans who make Invictus a reality.
I stand here not as Prince Harry Pat Tillman Award recipient, but rather a voice on behalf of the Invictus Games Foundation and the thousands of veterans and service personnel from over 20 nations who have made the Invictus Games a reality.
The same comment could be applied to the way his actions since leaving the family are viewed by people from both sides of the pond. Since levelling accusations on bombshells at and about the royals at regular intervals, he has all but evaporated personal contact with his father and brother. But recently, Harry has made no secret of his wish to reunite with the king, despite conflicting narratives emerging from the two camps about efforts to make contact and who's rebuffing who. It's been reported that the monarch, dealing with his day-to-day duties and undergoing cancer treatment, doesn't always answer his younger son's calls. But we saw Harry drop everything and rush to Charles's side as soon as he learnt of his father's diagnosis. And since then, he has made an unannounced visit to the country to attend the funeral of his uncle, Lord Fellows. The trips show that Harry is keen to stand shoulder to shoulder with his family. In fact, Harry's attendance at his uncle's funeral was the first time he and the Prince of Wales had been seen in the same room together this year. But even then it was reported that the pair didn't speak. Despite the brothers' rift, it is clear that Harry is still supported by the Spencers at a time when he is almost never seen flanked by the other side of his family. When he flew back to Britain for the 10th anniversary of Invictus, he cut a lonely figure entering St. Paul's Cathedral to celebrate the milestone. But the situation was very different inside when he was joined by his uncle Earl Spencer, his aunt Lady Jane Fellows, and 3 of his Spencer cousins. As for Harry's advisors and longtime friends from his past life as a working royal, many remain fond of him, even as some of them admit to being deeply frustrated at his choices since he moved to the US. In fact, his efforts to maintain contact with old friends, coupled with an evident desire to repair his relationship with the king, had prompted renewed speculation that he's seeking a fresh start and even an official working role again within the family fold. But multiple sources close to Harry have told us that this is not the case, and that he is happy and settled in California with an amazing new group of friends and several projects on the horizon. In Montecito, we know he hosts friends at his and Meghan's 9-bedroom home and is seen occasionally going out for dinner at the local steakhouse or upmarket Italian. But at this birthday milestone, the greatest shift is that of his nuclear family, from the royals to the now doting father of 2 that he has transformed into. Prince Archie is now 5 and at a local school, while the 3-year-old Princess Lilibet has found her voice, according to Meghan. So Harry has achieved part of what he set out to do at 30, finding someone to settle down with and build a life with. He is now half of one of the most famous marriages in the entire world. Their domestic life is marked by idyllic days on the beach, walking the dogs, kite flying on the lawn, bike rides, and school runs in the Californian sun. So a 40th birthday party on some scale will happen in California, the base of Harry's life now, with his wife and children at the very center of it. As for the future of his working life, that is now his alone to decide. Freed from the parameters and constraints of being a working royal, those close to him insist that there is so much good work happening, even if it's behind the scenes. He was last seen in action in Colombia, trying out his Spanish and salsa dancing, but also using his high-profile platform to discuss mental health in schools and digital wellness. So the future being drawn up is one which his supporters insist has much on the horizon, even if those things are not publicized. Next up is a trip to New York, where Harry plans to take part in engagements connected to his various charities, including African Parks, the Halo Trust, the Diana Award, and his ecotourism company Travelist. He's forging full steam ahead on his US-based initiatives, and there's even talk of an Archwell Foundation-supported project to help American voters spot deepfakes ahead of the election.
So, this is Tic Tacs, right?
In the coming years, we will also see the Invictus Games come back to the UK in what is sure to be a full-circle moment for Harry in 2027. And we are also sure to expect the conclusions of the war he's fighting on 2 fronts, with the tabloid press and over his British security arrangements. As for whether he's happy and settled, his transition to that stratospheric celebrity status in the US has seen him commit to a balancing act of firefighting constant gossip, but also fueling that gossip with his own accusations and revelations. Those close to him maintain that despite the ongoing rifts with family back in Britain, he is incredibly happy and is determined to look forwards, not back. We are told, as ever, that as he enters his 5th decade, Harry is as committed as he was to the Sussex's mission, which is to show up and do good. While he no longer wants to dwell on the past, can he now, at 40, truly put away past grievances and focus on the future that he wants? Royal Insight is a fortnightly video output by The Telegraph, where we give you our insider knowledge and analysis of the main royal stories. If you have any topics you'd like us to cover, please let us know in the comment section below and visit our website for more royal content, news and analysis.